Britain has unveiled a controversial proposal that gives spy agencies new powers to monitor emails, phone calls and internet use. A draft bill on the issue is to be discussed by Parliament. The legislation would update existing procedures on how information, like email addresses and phone numbers, can be collected by authorities. Civil liberties groups have called the plan a snooper's charter and a dangerous invasion of privacy. The government argues the law is needed to keep pace with technological changes and enable security services to confront threats to the UK. Let's get the thoughts of Chris Bambery. He's a political analyst and he joins us from London. Well, Chris Bambery, the British government's controversial plan to spy on emails, web browsing, text messages, phone calls. So basically the British government is doing what it accuses other countries of doing. I mean, what do you make of this plan and its impact, more importantly, on civil and political rights and freedoms in your country?
Well, the British government, as you say, is doing what it criticises China, Russia, Iran, although not the United States, which has introduced a similar law already, but it has criticised those countries for restricting access to the internet, to email, etc. But it is now introducing exactly the same sort of legislation, despite the fact that this government, both parties which make up this government, promised to end surveillance of emails as part of their election campaign when they were elected. Despite that, they are now making it so that security forces can have access to emails, web use, Skype, Facebook, Twitter, and to landline phones. And companies have to hand that data over and make it accessible on an instantaneous basis to the security forces. The government claims that there will be safeguards, but it only requires the Home Secretary, the government minister, to instruct that to be carried through, so there's little safeguard there, or to obtain a search warrant from a judge, which is not that difficult. Little safeguard there. But also, they also claim that this is necessary to deal with terrorists and paedophiles, but not ordinary citizens. Ordinary citizens, they claim, should be okay. Well, even paedophiles and terrorists are ordinary citizens under the law until they're found guilty. Therefore, the surveillance will be on ordinary citizens. And I think we have to say something else. This is going to be carried out by GCHQ, which is the Anglo-American Spy Centre for the World. So they'll be using GCHQ to spy on British citizens all the time, just as they use GCHQ to spy on people across the world by listening in. This is a very serious attack on our rights, and it is a snooper's charter. People now use these means for private business, for their private lives, not just for communicating with each other. And I think we should take it very seriously, what the government is introducing, and I think we should say that they are going back on their word when they promised they were elected, and they are hypocritical in attacking countries like China for doing exactly what they're doing.
And one of the things that's interesting about this, which is really alarming, is this proposed Justice and Security Bill, as it's called, would see what's called secretive closed material procedures extended to all civil proceedings. Now, what I'm gathering, what that means is that behind closed doors, they're going to be making decisions, or they're going to be exchanging and making judgments of what's dangerous or not. Tell us the implications of this, how dangerous a move this could be, and what could be the implications in terms of, at least for the people who are being accused of it.
Well, if you go back in history, this is exactly the sort of thing in which we had revolutions in France and England and the United States against royal tyranny, where people would snoop, on your mail without you knowing about it. And here we have behind closed doors a star chamber, an unelected body, secret body, which will be snooping right into your things with you never knowing and assessing whether you or not are a security risk on a criteria which will not be made available. It is a very sinister and quite scary piece of legislation which has been put through here. It will have to get approved by the European Union, who will insist on certain safeguards, but the government is already saying in the Queen's speech that those safeguards are in place, so they seem pretty confident they will get this through. And as I say, it will bring the United Kingdom into line with the United States, where we've already seen a wave of protests against a similar snooper's charter which has been enacted by the government of the US. So once again we see Britain and the US implementing an attack on human rights. And I think we should remind ourselves, these countries claim they are liberal in economic matters, which means they are essentially free market, But when it comes on a domestic agenda, they have been following now for 3 decades a very repressive policy of intervening with the right of demonstration, the right to free speech, the right of communication. And the level of surveillance on ordinary citizens in the United Kingdom is quite staggering now. We have the highest number of CCTV cameras keeping us under watch. When I travel across London, all my travel details can be made immediately available to the police or the security forces if they want to get that. I can be tracked using my mobile phone as to my whereabouts. It is actually quite scary. It's scary just how much data is available to the security forces regarding just ordinary citizens going about their daily business in the United Kingdom.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Chris Bambery, political analyst there from London. We appreciate that.